Ready to dive into a world of love and deception. Buckle up as we explore Whispers of Love.
Intriguing title, right?
It really pulls you in, and believe me, the story delivers. We're talking about Eve and Pierre, a seemingly perfect couple on the verge of marriage, but are things really as they seem?
That's the question that hangs over the entire story. Whiskers of Love really dives deep into the complexities of their relationship, starting with Eve, a successful fashion designer who's head over heels for Pierre, this, well, seemingly devoted fisherman.
Okay, but fisherman, that sounds a little, I don't know, almost too idyllic, right?
Exactly. And that's where the cracks start to show. The author subtly hints at Eve's growing frustration with Pierre's frequent trips to France, leaving her feeling a little neglected, you know?
Ah, I see. The classic case of absence makes the heart wander.
Something like that. Eve craves Pierre's presence, but he's always jetting off on these mysterious fishing expeditions.
Mysterious.
Well, we'll get to that. It's like there's this underlying tension, this unspoken disconnect between them.
So it's not all sunshine and roses then?
Not exactly. And to make things even more complicated, we're introduced to Eve's parents, Julie and Eric, who run a caravan park. Their marriage, by the way, is like a mirror reflecting some of the same issues we see with Eve and Pierre.
Okay, so we've got some parallel plots going on here.
Absolutely. But what's so clever is how the author uses these parallel storylines to explore the themes of trust and betrayal from different angles. Think about it. Eve is dealing with Pierre's emotional absence, while Julie is struggling with Eric's secrecy about a recent investment he made.
So both men are withholding something, but the consequences of their actions play out in very different ways, right?
Precisely. And just when you think you've got a grip on these intertwined narratives, bam! Eve stumbles upon something that turns everything upside down.
Ooh, this is where the whispers part of the title comes in, huh? What does Eve find?
A note, written in French. And it throws everything we thought we knew about Pierre into question.
French, you say?
Yeah, and remember, this is long before any of those handy translation apps. So Eve has this note and no clue what it says.
Talk about a cliffhanger. So what's the big reveal? What does the note say?
Well, it turns out those frequent fishing trips to France, they weren't exactly what they seemed. Pierre, my friend, is drowning in debt.
No way.
Oh, way. He's been secretly taking out loans, living a double life, and using Eve's money to fuel his deceptions.
Wow, talk about a plot twist. And poor Eve. To think she was completely in the dark about all of this.
The author does a fantastic job of slowly peeling back the layers of Pierre's charming persona, revealing the desperation that drives him to such lengths.
It makes you wonder, was there ever any genuine affection there, or was Pierre blinded by Eve's success?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the story cleverly leaves us grappling with that ambiguity. It's up to us as readers to decide how much of Pierre's love was real and how much was an act.
So we're left wondering, can love truly exist alongside such deep-seated deception, or does one inevitably taint the other?
Those are the kind of questions Whispers of Love makes us confront. And believe me, things are about to get even more complicated from here on out.
Pierre leading this double life, using Eve's money to keep up appearances. It's heartbreaking.
And it gets even more complicated, because Eve's own parents, Julie and Eric, their marriage is imploding at the same time.
You're right. It's like this echo of what Eve's going through, but with different players and different stakes.
Exactly. Remember Eric's secret investment? Well, it turns out it was a bad one, and he's lost a lot of money, leaving their finances in shambles.
Oh, no. So not only is there a lack of trust, but now there's a financial crisis looming over them, too.
It's a recipe for disaster. And things get even more tangled when we learn about Eric's living situation.
Hold on, what about his living situation? What's going on there?
Turns out he's not been exactly honest with Julie. He's been spending more and more time at this other house, you see.
Another house? Is he? Is there someone else?
The story is intentionally vague at this point, leaving us to speculate, just like Eve and Connor, who's Eve's brother, by the way, are doing.
Right, Connor. We haven't talked about him much yet. How does he factor into all of this family drama?
Connor's trying to find his own way, dealing with his parents' issues, and trying to be there for Eve while she's reeling from Pierre's betrayal.
It's a lot for one family to handle. So we've got Eve questioning everything about her relationship, Julie grappling with Eric's deceptions. It's like this pressure cooker of emotions.
And right when you think things can't get any messier, new characters enter the scene, further complicating Eve's already tangled life.
Oh, like who? Tell me more about these new characters.
Well, there's Benjamin, a charming businessman Eve meets through work. He becomes a confidant as her relationship with Pierre unravels, offering a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on.
Benjamin sounds like a nice guy, but is this purely platonic, or is there a hint of something more between them?
The author is clever, you see, dropping these subtle hints of a deeper connection, an unspoken attraction perhaps. But just as things start to heat up with Benjamin, another man enters the picture.
Oh, okay, this is getting juicy. Who's the new competition?
His name's Louis. Successful businessman, charming, almost too good to be true, you know. He's everything Pierre isn't. Stable, reliable, and completely smitten with Eve.
Wow, talk about a contrast. So does Eve jump into a new relationship with Louis, or is she still holding on to the wreckage of what she had with Pierre?
It's not that simple. Remember, Eve's still reeling from Pierre's betrayals. She craves genuine connection, but is terrified of being hurt again. So even though Louis seems like the perfect gentleman, she hesitates, unsure if she can trust her own judgment.
So it's like she's caught between these two potential paths, playing it safe with the familiar but flawed Pierre, or taking a chance on something new and unknown with Louis. What a dilemma.
And as Eve grapples with these choices, her life takes another dramatic turn.
What happens? Don't leave me hanging.
Pierre, in the last-ditch effort to salvage their relationship, convinces Eve to go on a sailing trip with him. He promises her a romantic getaway, a chance to reconnect away from all the drama.
A sailing trip? That sounds romantic. Also a little bit dangerous, right? Especially with all the baggage they're carrying.
Precisely. And remember, Pierre isn't exactly known for his honesty. So as they set sail, the tension builds. The author does a brilliant job of mirroring the turmoil in their relationship with the unpredictable nature of the sea.
I can already sense this isn't going to end well.
You're right to be worried, because what starts as a seemingly innocent attempt to rekindle their love quickly transforms into a fight for survival.
Oh, no. What happens on the trip?
A storm hits. Out of nowhere. It's violent, relentless, tossing their small boat around like a toy. And as the waves crash and the wind howls, Eve and Pierre find themselves confronting not only the raw power of nature, but also the devastating consequences of their own choices.
It's like the storm becomes a metaphor for everything that's been brewing beneath the surface of their relationship, right?
Exactly. It's a powerful turning point in the story, forcing both Eve and Pierre to confront their deepest fears and desires. And in the aftermath of this harrowing experience, nothing will ever be the same.
That storm, that near-death experience, it's like a turning point in their story.
Absolutely. After that terrifying ordeal, Eve knows she can't just go back to how things were.
Right. Pierre's true colors have been exposed. The lies, the deception, it's all out in the open.
It's a lot to process, and Eve needs time to figure things out, to heal. And that's where we see her strength, her resilience. She starts therapy, focusing on rebuilding her life piece by piece.
It's interesting, isn't it, how sometimes the most devastating experiences can also be the most clarifying.
It's like the storm washed away all the pretense, all the illusions, leaving Eve to confront the truth about Pierre and their relationship.
And what about Pierre? How does he cope with the fallout from the storm and his exposed secrets?
Well, in a move that surprised no one, Pierre panics. He realizes he's on the verge of losing Eve, and with her, his financial lifeline. So what does he do? He proposes.
He proposes. Seriously. After everything that's happened.
Yep. Picture this. Eve's back home, trying to pick up the pieces of her life, and she gets this out-of-the-blue marriage proposal from Pierre via Zoom, no less.
Via Zoom? You've got to be kidding me. Talk about a lack of sincerity.
I know, right? It reeks of desperation. But here's the thing. A small part of Eve still loves Pierre, or at least the idea of him. The man she thought he was.
Ah, the allure of the familiar, even when it's toxic.
Exactly. So even though she's hurt, even though she knows deep down that Pierre is bad news, she's tempted.
It's that flicker of hope, right? The what if this time it's different kind of feeling.
Exactly. But as the saying goes, actions speak louder than words. And Pierre's actions, well, they tell a different story.
Oh no, don't tell me he messes up again.
No, but he does. Remember that note Eve found earlier? The one in French?
Yeah, the one that exposed his whole web of lies.
Well, it turns out that wasn't the only secret Pierre was hiding. Eve stumbles upon more evidence of his infidelity, confirming her worst fears.
This guy just can't help himself, can he?
It's a painful realization for Eve, but also a turning point. She realizes she can't keep giving Pierre chances, can't keep sacrificing her own happiness for a relationship that's built on lies.
So she finally breaks things off for good.
Yes, and it's a powerful moment in the story. Eve finally reclaims her power, refuses to be a victim of Pierre's manipulations any longer.
Good for her. It's about time she puts herself first.
It's a huge step in her healing journey. She throws herself into her work, pouring all her energy into opening her boutique in Germany. And guess what? It's a huge success.
See, I told you she was strong. She takes this terrible situation and turns it into something positive.
Exactly. And her relationships with her family become a source of strength, too, especially her bond with her mother, Julie. They're both going through similar heartbreaks, and they really lean on each other for support.
It's like they find solace in their shared experience, realizing they're stronger together.
Absolutely. And amidst all this personal growth and change, Eve crosses paths with Louis again, that charming businessman who seemed completely smitten with her.
Oh, right. Louis, I'd almost forgotten about him. So is this a second chance romance in the making?
Well, it's complicated. Eve's still carrying the baggage from her relationship with Pierre, still a little wary of opening her heart again.
Understandably so. After what she went through, who could blame her for being cautious?
Right. But Louis is patient, kind, and persistent. He sees the real Eve beneath the hurt and the defenses she's built up.
It sounds like he could be good for her. But is Eve ready to take a chance on love again?
That's the question, isn't it? And as if things weren't complicated enough, another character reappears on the scene, throwing a wrench into everything. Remember Jack, Eve's former therapist.
Jack! Wow, talk about a blast from the past. What brings him back into the picture?
He reaches out to Eve, wanting to reconnect. And as they spend time together, he drops a bombshell. He confesses that he has feelings for her.
Whoa, that's unexpected. So now Eve's got two men vying for her attention. Louis, the charming businessman, and Jack, her former therapist who's suddenly professing his love. What a tangled web.
And it gets even messier. Just as Eve is starting to sort through her feelings for Louis and Jack, Jack announces that he's engaged to someone else.
You're kidding. Talk about bad timing.
It's a heart-wrenching moment for Eve because despite everything, a part of her still cares for Jack. And for Jack, too, it's a wake-up call. He realizes he's about to make a huge mistake, marrying someone he doesn't truly love.
So what does he do?
He does something incredibly brave and maybe a little crazy. He breaks off his engagement and goes after Eve, pouring his heart out to her. He tells her that she's the one, that he always regretted their therapist-patient boundaries.
No, what a grand gesture. So does Eve take him back?
After everything she's been through, Eve's hesitant to jump into another relationship, even with Jack. But his honesty, his vulnerability, it chips away at her walls. She sees the depth of his feelings for her and realizes that sometimes second chances are worth the risk.
It's a beautiful testament to the power of love and forgiveness.
It really is. In the end, Whispers of Love reminds us that life is messy, unpredictable, and full of surprises. It challenges us to confront our own beliefs about love, trust, and the choices we make in the face of adversity. What would you have done in Eve's shoes? Would you have taken Pierre back, given Louis a chance? Or followed your heart, even when it meant risking it all? These are the questions we're left pondering long after the final page is turned. Whispers of Love, a story that will stay with you. And we hope this deep dive added another layer to your understanding of this captivating story.